infesting rice. I will share my PPT. Just a minute. Last class we discussed about sucking pest. We covered BPH, GLH, and rice bug. Now today we will see one more sucking pest, which is uh, earlier it was considered as a minor. I haven't seen this pest when I was doing my UG, but now it's common in many commercial rice growing tracts of Kerala. It's severe in other parts of our country also. So that is rice thrips. Whether my slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the fourth sucking pest which we will discuss is Tenkatothrips biformis, that is rice thrips belonging to the family Thripidae of order Thysanoptera. Tenkatothrips biformis. Okay, this is a pest which infests the crop during its early stage. That means it attacks the crop in the nursery and immediately after transplanting or in the first say about 30 days. That's the period thrips damage the crop. Afterwards, we usually don't see any thrips attack. So it's an early stage pest, and as you all know, the mouth parts is rasping and sucking type. Thrips are having rasping and sucking kind of mouth parts, and with that kind of mouth part, it scrapes the leaf, and because of the scraping of the leaf, sap will exude from that tissue, and that sap will be sucked up by the insects. Both nymphs and adults suck the sac. Because of the rasping and sucking behavior, attack of thrips, the leaves start drying up. And usually that drying up starts from the tip of the leaf. From the leaf tip, it starts drying up. And another thing which we usually observe is that's the one way to distinguish it. The leaf tips starts rolling inwards and forms a needle-like structure. I will show that picture. Then you will be able to understand how it happens. See this picture. Just a minute. See this picture. See, from the leaf tip, the leaf is drying, and see the tip of the leaf. It is rolled up into a needle-like structure. It is rolled inwards and it is a pointed needle-like structure. That's the typical symptom of rice strips. Rice strips. One thing you should always remember is that drying up from the leaf tip cannot always be considered as a symptom of rice strips. Because if you have some potassium deficiency in the crop, again you will see drying up from the leaf tip. But in case of potassium deficiency, we won't see any rolling of the leaf and a needle-like appearance of the leaf tip. That's typical of rice thrips. And this is mostly seen during the dry season, especially not dry season, when the field is dry. And another way which we usually advise farmers is to uh, easy identify one of the easy way to identify is ask the farmer to wet this palm, and once the hand is wet, just pass over the wet hand over the crop. I will repeat: wet your hand. There will be water in the paddy field. Wet your palm and pass this your wet palm over the crop where you suspect there is a thrips infestation. So, if you pass the palm over the plants and observe your palm, you can see very small black colored insects getting attached to your palms, your wet palm. That is one way to identify thrips. Wet your palm, pass it over the crop, and observe the palm. If thrips infestation is there, you can see very small black insects in the on your palm. So that is one way, easy way to identify the insect. And regarding the management, as I told you, dry conditions favor the multiplication of this pest. So in Kutanad and all, we usually recommend thrips is a major problem in Kutanad. So thrips, Kutanad and all, we usually advise farmers to flood the field for a period of 1 or 2 days. Flooding of the crop for 1 or 2 days doesn't cause any harm to the crop. Rice is a crop which can survive flooding for 3 to 4 days. It will recover easily. So flood the crop for 1 or 2 days. It will kill all the rice thrips and we can easily manage it. So I will show a few pictures. See this. This is nursery, dried up, completely dried up. You can see this. This is a mat nursery. Have you studied mat nursery? What is a mat nursery? What are the different kinds of nurseries prepared for rice crop? Anyone? No? Have you seen wet, dry? Then one more, wet, dry, Dapok method. Yes, Dapok method. Yes. Dapok method in that this is a Dapok method wherein we keep a sheet and on that sheet we will spread a thin layer of soil and we will spread the seedlings. This is mainly done for mechanized transplanting using transplanters. So here you can see in the dry areas, you can see in this area of this nursery is dry and in that area you can see seedlings got dried up. This is due to thrips. See, this again, the field is completely dry, completely damaged by thrips. This picture I have shown you. And this is the way. If you observe the crop carefully, you can see thrips. Though it is very minute, we can easily observe it. We can easily identify thrips also. But you have to observe keenly. Another typical symptom which by which we can that also you have to observe closely. You can see this lacerating points on the leaf. So some white patches on the leaf. If you observe close, then only you can easily identify it from distance. From a distance, you won't be able to identify it. You can see here some whitish patches. That is because of the lacerating behavior of thrips. So with that, we are finishing the hemipteran or the sucking pest which damage the crop. Not all insects or thrips is not a hemipteran. So we'll discuss all those and then we are moving on to some minor pests. All the major pests we have discussed. So we'll be going for minor pests. I may go a bit quickly. Only certain things which you need to keep in mind in those cases. The first minor pest, two coleopteran pests, they are considered as minor, but in some insects sometimes it can become serious in certain regions of the country. One such pest is rice hispa, Diclodispa armigera, belonging to the family Chrysomelidae. Rice hispa, Diclodispa armigera, belonging to the family Chrysomelidae of Coleoptera. This is just like the beetle, adult beetle looks like porcupine. See the body of this adult insect. The body is covered with numerous spines. We can easily identify it. So it is a spiny beetle. We can easily identify it. And the insect lays eggs into the leaf and the grubs are a leaf miner. Remember, adult feeds on the leaf from outside. I will show you a picture of it. Adult scrapes the leaf, feed from outside, whereas the grubs mines into the leaf. You can see blotches on the leaf surface. Some raised structures. Blotches means the inside part, the green part will be fed by the grub and only the tissue, outer tissue will be remaining. So these blotches can be seen. This is because of the mining of the grub. So adults feeds on the, see this. This is the damage by the adult. Adults feed on the green matter of the leaf from outside, while grubs are a leaf miner. That means it mines into the leaf and feeds inside and leaving only the upper epidermis intact. So this is a particular damaging nature of damage with the case of rice whisper, where the adults scrapes the leaf, feed on the green tissue, and short white lines can be seen on the leaf surface, whereas the grubs mines into the leaf, and we can see blotches on the leaf tip. Are you clear? Any doubt with respect to thrips and hispa? If there is anything which you don't follow, raise it your hand or just unmute and ask, because I will be going a bit fast because we are moving into the minor pest. Anything? Okay, fine. The next pest is again a beetle one, beetle pest, that is blue beetle, Leptispa pygmae, again belonging to the family Chrysomelidae, Leptispa pygmae. This is a pest which was considered as minor in most part of our state Kerala, but in certain districts such as Kannur and Kasaragod, this is a major pest, blue beetle, Leptispa pygmae. This is an elongated metallic colored beetle. You can easily see it. See this. This is an elongate metallic colored. You can see slight greenish color, a shiny greenish colored beetle. You can see two adults. These two adults feed on the green matter. You can see it feeds on the green matter of the leaf. Not only the adults, the grubs also damages the crop. You can see the adult over here. It feeds on the green matter of the leaf. So this is the damage of it. It's considered as a minor pest in most parts of our state, but only in certain districts like Kannur and Kasaragod, it's a major pest. It's an elongate metallic colored beetle. It feeds on the surface of the leaf, and mainly it feeds on the upper surface. It doesn't feed on the lower surface. That's the nature of damage of blue beetle. It's a minor pest, so we are not discussing its management. Coming to some minor pests, the first one is uh, rice skipper. The scientific name is Pelopidus matthias. You can either write it as Pelopidus matthias, even that is sufficient. Remember, all the skipper pests belong to the family Hesperidae. Hesperidae. The family is Hesperidae. Rice skipper, Pelopidus matthias belong to the family Hesperidae. This is a very minor pest. The larvae, we don't need to manage all those things. These insects will be present all throughout the crop, but it doesn't cause much economic damage to the crop. So we usually advise the farmer not to go for spraying of this pest, but you have to identify, because sometimes these minor pests sometimes can become major, maybe after 5-10 years, because of some crop changes in cropping pattern, climate, etc. So that we are not sure. That's why we are teaching all those things. The larvae folds the leaf longitudinally and feeds on the green matter. Larvae is a, see this, very beautiful larvae. It folds the leaf and feeds within. And see the adult. This is a skipper butterfly. And you can see this, the antenna. Can anyone identify the type of antenna in this? Anyone? That's the antenna is typical of this family, antenna modification. Yes, good. Hooked antenna. So it's having hooked antenna. That's a peculiarity of this Hesperidae, family Hesperidae. The larvae is greenish in color and it feeds on the leaf by folding it. And pupae is a chrysalis that usually the pupae of all butterflies, we call it as chrysalis. It's a very beautiful kind of pupae. And the adult, as I already shown you in the picture, it is dark brown in color with two white spots on the forewing. I will show it again. Just a minute. Okay. So it is hooked antenna, dark brown wings with white spots on the forewing. So here we have the greenish larvae feeding on the leaf by rolling the leaf, Adults are having hooked antennae, brownish in color with white spots on the forehead. This is a Menapes, Pelopidas matthias, rice skipper. The next one is rice horned caterpillar, Melanitis lida. The scientific name is Melanitis lida, belonging to the family Nymphalidae. Again, it is a caterpillar. I will show the picture of the caterpillar. Then you can understand why it is called as rice horned caterpillar. You can see the head of the larvae. You can see two horns, just like a cow is having horns. The larvae also has horns. That's why the pest is called as rice horned caterpillar, Melanitis lida. The larvae feeds on the leaf blades just like that. It won't roll, it feeds on the leaf. I'll show the picture of the adult, then you can easily understand how the adult look like. See this. This is a very big one. You can easily identify. You must have seen this in your home. Just after monsoon showers, this kind of moth is usually common in our home. It usually gets attracted to light. These wings are having eye-like markings on the forewing as well as hind wing. You can see eye-like markings on the forewing and hind wing. So that is typical of rice-horned caterpillar, Melanitis lida. Again, it is a minor pest. Larvae feeds on the leaf. Then again, another caterpillar pest is yellow hairy caterpillar, Salis pennatula. This is a hairy caterpillar with red stripes and orange head. I will show you. You can, yes. You can see the yellow colored caterpillar. This is a hairy caterpillar with red stripes. So this is the larvae. Sometimes, very rarely, we see a few numbers in the field. Again, it feeds on the leaf. That's the only damage it makes. Very rarely we see this pest in the field, and it doesn't cause any economic damage also. Then there are few pests which it is not common in our state. That is rice mealybug, Brevinia rehi. All the mealybugs belong to the family Pseudococcidae of Hemiptera. It feeds on the plant from the base and leads to sunken oval or round patches in a normal crop. Because normally this mealybug attacks in a small area initially. So just like hopper burn, which you have observed in the case, studied in the case of BPH, in small patches the damage will be there initially. So there will be drying in the in patches. I haven't seen this damage, so I don't have a picture of it. Just remember that mealybug Brevinia rehi is the a pest which cause drying up of the crop. Then I will show you a few pictures. When I was discussing about leaf hoppers and plant hoppers, I told you the major plant hopper is Nilaparvata lugens. One thing you please note down. I have made a mistake in the spelling of Nilaparvata. It is Nilaparvatn. There is no H in the. Just when I was preparing the question paper only, I realized at the slide I have made a mistake. I have corrected it. You can note it down. I will share the PPT in the Moodle. Okay. So we have different leaf hoppers and plant hoppers. These are normally seen in a rice ecosystem, but the population is not that much to cause any economic damage. We usually see all these leaf hoppers and plant hoppers. We can see which are all those so that you can easily identify. The first one is white leaf hopper, Cophana spectra. This is a leaf hopper, so the family is Cicadelidae. White leaf hopper, Cophana spectra, belong to the family Cicadelidae of Hemiptera. You can see whitish leaf hopper, a wedge-shaped, V-shaped insect. Then we have white bagged plant hopper. This is a plant hopper, so the family is Delphacidae. Scientific name is Sogatella forcifera. You can see it over here, a white colored patch on the dorsum of the insect. So that's why it is called as white bagged plant hopper, Sogatella forcifera. We usually abbreviate it as WBPH. Green leaf hopper, we abbreviate it DLH. White bagged plant hopper, we abbreviate it as WBPH. Then the next one is zigzag leaf hopper, Rasilia dorsalis. Since it is a leaf hopper, the family is Delphacidae. Can you see the zigzag pattern on the leaf? Why it is called a zigzag leafhopper, Rasilia dorsalis? Can you see that brown zigzag pattern on each forewing? Yes or no? Yes. See this zigzag brown marking on each wing. So that's why it is called as zigzag leafhopper or Rasilia dorsalis. Then another pest, this is not a hopper, this is a bug, pentatomid bug. You see the character, this is a big bug, pentatomid bugs are usually larger in size. You can see the well-developed scutellum, that is a typical feature of Pentatomidae. That bug is called as rice striped bug because we have two whitish stripes on the body. So it's called as rice striped bug. Tetroda hysteroides. Tetroda hysteroides. Sometimes it is called as black bug also, but it was considered as a minor pest. But sometimes now this population of this pest is slowly increasing in some areas, not in all areas. In Thrissur Pole area, sometimes we see this pest, especially in if you are going for a summer crop in Thrissur Pole. So remember this because sometimes this pest may become serious later on. Then there is a pest which feeds on the roots, that is rice root weevil Echinonemus oryzae. As it is a weevil, the family is Curculionidae. The grubs feeds on the rootlets. I haven't seen this pest anywhere in Kerala. So remember is rice root weevil Echinonemus oryzae. Very few pests damage the root portion of the rice crop. So this is one pest where the grubs feeds on the roots of the crop. Then this is a pest which is very common in most of the rice growing tracts, rice grasshoppers. There are several grasshoppers which feeds on the rice. It includes Hieroglyphus benion, Oxia nitidula, etc. Hieroglyphus benion and Oxia nitidula. There are more species also. There is one more species in Hieroglyphus nigro reproductive and all. I am not included in. I just entered a easy scientific name, Hieroglyphus benion, belonging to the family Acrididae. Acrididae is short-horned grasshoppers. Here, both the nymphs and adults feed on the leaves, leaving only the midrib. This is the picture of the grasshopper. I will show the damage also. This is common. We usually see the damage in the field, but we don't see it causing any economic damage to the crop. So we usually leave the crop without any management. You see this. The leaf will be fed and only the midrib will be left. That is a typical feeding habit of grasshopper. This is like another grasshopper. Then there is another pest called as worm maggot, Hydrilla philippina, belonging to order Diptera, family is Ephydridae. We don't usually find insects belonging to the family Ephydridae damaging the crop. So we have worm maggot Hydrilla philippina belonging to the family Ephydridae damaging the crop. So this maggot is the damaging stage. Maggot, what it does is before the unfurling of the leaf, that means before the leaves open fully, it feeds on the leaf blade. And on the leaf blade, we can see white transparent patches with holes. I will show the picture. See this. This is the typical damage of bird maggot. You can see white transparent patches and holes. This is because of the feeding of the grubs of bird maggot Hydrilla philippina. The maggots feed on the leaf before it opens fully. And once it's open, you can see transparent patches with holes. This is usually seen in crop. Again, it is a minor one. We don't usually recommend any management practice of it for it because it is extremely minor insect. You can see this. This is a picture I have taken from a field. You can see this damage, typical damage. Okay, I have completed the pest. Any doubt? Quick. Otherwise, I will show you a few pictures. There won't be any theory portion. I will show you some pictures as well as scientific names and all. Because in rice is an ecosystem. Uh, where we have a large number of predators and parasitoids. If you ask me which crop harbors most number of predators and parasitoids, I will always tell, as, as of Kerala, I will always tell rice, because that's an ecosystem which helps in the survival of so many predators and parasitoids, and all of them are documented very carefully also. I am just going through a few pictures. This is just for you to have an understanding of the diversity of predators and parasitoids which we normally encounter in a paddy field. Because farmers doesn't usually recognize this, and they don't, they are unable to differentiate between the natural enemies and the insect pests. So it is our duty to help the farmers to identify the natural enemies that are beneficial to us. So this is just a few pictures which I have taken and which I have taken from IRRI website and all. I will show a few. The major predator in a rice ecosystem is spiders. Lot of spiders are. Have you ever seen in the in May? There was a picture circulating, especially in the Thrissur area among the farmers and all. Uh, you have seen spider webs, lot of spider webs in Thrissur coldlands just after that rains in the May. Has anyone seen that in WhatsApp? The entire paddy field was covered with rice spider web. Anyone? If not, I will share that picture to Hari Krishna. So that's a very beautiful picture. Uh, that's pretty easy to understand how much. Joel, have you seen it?
സാർ ഞാൻ കേട്ടില്ല, ഞാൻ കട്ടായി പോയിടക്കെ.
Did you see that spider web ഒരു ആ കഴിഞ്ഞ മെയ് മാസത്തില് കോളില് മുഴുവൻ ഒരു മറ്റേ എട്ടുകാലിയുടെ വല ഒരു പാടശേഖരം മുഴുവൻ വല കെട്ടിയ ഒരു പിക്ചർ കണ്ടിരുന്നു?
ഇല്ല ഇല്ല സാർ, ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചില്ല.
Okay, that I will show you, that I will share it. Okay, so there are several species, innumerable number of species of spiders in rice ecosystem. I have listed only a few. The genus name Lycosa, Oxyops, Phidippus, Argeo, Tetragnatha. There are several species. Lycosa, Oxyops, Phidippus, Argeo, Tetragnatha, etc. And these insects feed on most of the rice pests like BPH, Stemborrhoides, GLH, caterpillars, etc. So it is a polyphagous one, feeding on number of insect pests. See this. This is a spider feeding on leaf folder moth. See this. These are. I'm not a specialist in identifying spiders. There are several specialists who can easily identify spider, the genus and the species. This is spiders are feeding on BPH. This is a spider feeding on Stembora adult. This is how a natural enemy work in the field. Many of you might have observed, watched that video of a coccinelle feeding on an aphid. Yes or no? That was circulating about 2 to 3 weeks back. Actually, one of your senior, yes, one of your senior, I think Aniran, have you shared it? Who has shared me? The first who has shared it, and it became viral in most of the groups.
Yes, sir, I'm shared.
Yes, you have shared it. So this is another picture of spider. With the clarity, you can understand that I took that picture. This is not that a good clarity picture, but I have a few very good pictures of spider. There is a person in Thrissur. His name is Murali. He owns a computer shop. He is a very good wildlife photographer. During the last lockdown period, that means April, May, he photographed spiders. His passion was to photograph spiders in his home itself. Very good photographs. He has messaged me excellent photographs. So many spiders feeding on insects. Then we have so many coccinellids. Mainly the coccinellids which we see in rice ecosystem is Micraspis and Chilomenus sex maculata. There is one more species I forgot to include. That means that is Harmonia. Harmonia is also normally seen. I forgot to include it. So Micraspis, Chilomenus, they feeds on eggs and larvae of pests. Is a major predator of BPH. See this Microspis is comparatively smaller. Chilomenus is bigger. Chilomenus, many of you might have seen. If you observe closely, you can see Chilomenus in most of the agriculture ecosystem. It's common in all over the crops. It is not only in rice. This Microspis and all. This is very fast moving. Very fast moving. I tried to capture a picture of Microspis, but it's very fast moving. I couldn't capture it. I have a few pictures, but all of them are out of focus. See this feeds on BPH. See the photo carefully. It's feeding on its dish BPH. This is a picture taken by Dr. Purani. Dr. Purani is a very senior scientist in ARS system. She is now in NRC Banana Trichy. She is a taxonomist. This is a picture I have taken from a field. This is that of a Chilomenus exmaculata in a paddy field itself. This is the grubs of coccinellids. Many a times farmer failed to identify the grubs of a coccinellid beetle. It looks like a larvae. They consider that larvae is feeding on the crop. So this is a grub of a coccinellid feeding on BPH. Then we have ground beetle Ophionia. This Ophionia is very common one insect in many parts of the state. This feeds on mainly feeds on leafholder larvae. It feeds on BPH also. So ground beetle Ophionia. I will show you the picture. See this. This is not from rice ecosystem. This is from a bindi. This is from Malappuram. One of best scout in Malappuram has given me this picture. Ground beetle Ophionia. This is very common predator in rice as well as other crops. So this is ground beetle Ophionia. This is ground beetle feeding on leafholder larvae. Can anyone identify this insect? This was in news last month. There was some scary images of this in news, many news channels, newspapers, etc. Did anyone come across this news? No? Have you come across the news report of blister beetles causing severe damage in Kakanad area of Ernakulam? Yes, this is that insect. Crow beetle, the scientific name is Pediurus fusipus, Pediurus fusipus. And because of a chemical called as pedirin, it causes some blisters on the skin, allergic reactions to certain persons. So this is very common in rice ecosystem and other crops. Usually it doesn't cause much damage, but sometimes it can be allergic. That's why people are so scared. I will, if time permits, I will tell a story at the end of the class with respect to this Pediurus fusipus. I'll show the pictures. Okay. Then we have water bug Microvelia. It lives on the surface of the water and feeds on BPH or caterpillars. You might have seen, I don't know whether you have seen it. Common, this is a bug which floats on the, swims on the water surface. It feeds on insects, especially BPH. So you can see this Microvelia sucking sap from the insect. This is how the natural enemies work. This is the nymphs of Microvelia feeding on insects. And Certorhinus lividipennis that I told you, the predator of BPH. See this Certorhinus miridae, it's a bug. This is Certorhinus. This is common, but you have to observe carefully. That's one thing you have to do. It's very small insect. Then we have water treaders. I think you have seen this. This is very common in aquatic ecosystem. It moves over the water surface. It has the ability to move very long legs. Then we have water striders. വെള്ളത്തിലാശാൻ എഴുത്തച്ഛൻ എന്നൊക്കെ പറയും. It moves over very thin legs. You can see this picture. Very thin legs, long legs. With that, it moves over the water surface. All these bugs are excellent predators in rice ecosystem. Then damselflies, dragonflies, all are very good predators. You can see damselflies feeding on rice moth adult. This is a dragonfly picture. Damselfly, dragonfly also is there. I have not included the dragonfly picture. Dragonfly picture also. Then crickets, not all crickets are predators. Certain crickets are predators on BPH, GLH, X of Stembora, Armyworm, etc. These are pictures of crickets. Don't think that all crickets are predators. Certain crickets are predators. You can see the picture from the field of the cricket. Then ants are also very good predators, but the role of ants in a rice ecosystem is not that good because of the aquatic nature of rice. Ants are not a very good predator. Then we have very huge number of parasitoids. One parasitoid we have studied, Trichogramma. There are several other naturally occurring parasitoids. One is Tetrastechus shinobi. Tetrastechus shinobi, which is an ecparasitoid of Stembora. You can see Tetrastechus shinobi parasitizing on the egg mass of Stembora. Then Telenomus rovani, again an ecparasitoid of Stembora. Then Apandalus. Apandalus is a one which is a larval parasitoid, a major parasitoid of leaf folder larvae. Very common in rice ecosystem. I will show you a picture. Has anyone in Malappuram passed through this Chamravatam bridge? Chamravatam bridge in Malappuram. It's a regulator cum bridge which is connecting Ponnani to Tirur. No? No. This is a picture I have taken from a paddy field. Yes, if you travel from Tirur to Ponnani via Chamravatam, before you enter into that bridge, on the right side of that area, the approach road towards the bridge, you can see a paddy field. That paddy field is owned by a Brahmin family. His name is Vasudev Nambudiri. So he was willing to take up some organic pest management, so we tried trichocards in that field. And in that field, we had a numerous kind of these things in the field. These are nothing but leaf folder larvae parasitized by Apandalus. And what you see, this white cottony mass are the pupae of Apandalus. I think you know how a larval parasitoid works. These larval parasitoids insert their eggs into the larvae. Here the Apandalus laid his eggs into the leaf folder larvae. The Apandalus eggs hatches inside the body of leaf folder larvae. The Apandalus grubs feeds on the body content of leaf folder larvae, and it kills the larvae and it pupates it. Whatever you see is the pupae of the parasitoid Apandalus. Very common in paddy fields, but only thing is that you don't have to spray any pesticide. If you spray the pesticide, population decreases drastically. Okay, only a few things. If Harishan, if you give me about 10 or 15 minutes at any point of time, I will finish off my portions. I'll just Harishna Parna.
Okay, sir. Free
Okay. Only just I'll give an IPM strategist for the management of rice pest. That is just compiling, because usually in final exams and all these essays are asked IPM in rice. So I will compile all those whatever we have discussed. That's for examination purpose. There is nothing new to add in that. Then I will finish off the class with the story I told you with respect to this Pedrus fusipus. That is that insect which caused a lot of fright among people. I did my RAVE program. I did my UG from Padmakad campus, and my entomology teacher was Dr. K.M. Srikumar. Have you heard about Dr. K.M. Srikumar? Anyone? He's pretty famous in Dr. K. M. Srikumar is a professor and head of Department of Entomology in College of Agriculture, Padanakkad. He's a person who first spoke about the unscientific ways the endosulfan tragedy is projected, and he has brought out so many articles on that. Why endosulfan tragedy is painted a picture with an unscientific manner. He argues that the spraying of pesticide is wrong, but whatever we see images, he argues that it's not because of endosulfan. There is no clear-cut scientific proof. So that's what he argues is very common among the liberal thinkers of Kerala. So Srivasar was our ghost teacher. We did Rave village stay in one panchayat called as Eramam Kuttur in Kannur district, eastern part of Kannur district. At that time, that agricultural officer took up some group farming. All the farmers came together. They cultivated the same variety at the same time in a huge stretch of area. The crop was extremely good. Our village stay completed before about 2 weeks before the harvest. So the crop was excellent and the entire thing was well and good. The farmers were also happy. So we just after finishing the village stay, we completed our Viva of Rave and went to our home. But later, once the field was ready to harvest, when the laborers entered into the field for harvest, so many persons developed blisters on their hands. And there were a lot of newspaper reports claiming that at that time, carbofuran, the Furidan pesticide, was recommended for managing rice tempora, just like we recommend chlorantraniliprole granule or fipronil granule. So the agricultural officer has recommended the broadcasting of carbofuran granules in the field for managing rice pest. And many of the newspaper reports argued that what they saw, the blisters on the hands of laborers are because of carbofuran. So Srimasa came to that area. So he called all the farmers and officials in that school where we stayed during the village stay program. And before starting a meeting, he went to the paddy field. He collected the Spiderus fucipus from that paddy field. And in front of all the persons in that huge gathering in that school, Srigama sir placed that Spiderus fucipus adult on his palm. And immediately afterwards, blisters started appearing on his hand. And that's how he broke the myth that it is due to insecticide that all these things are happening. So this is a story with respect to Peters. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, I will stop for the time being.